So thanks for joining the webinar on No More Double Entry. This is part one of a three-part series, and today it's on Xero, QuickBooks, and the live bank reconciliation. So I'm Max Gray. I am the Senior Business Development Associate here at Arthur, and we've also got Nicole in the call, who is our Finance and Client Relationships. So I'm going to take you through a presentation and a couple of things to do with the functionality and the automation that can be based around financials. And then Nicole's going to give a kind of an initial deep dive into how those things work and how they can maybe be optimized a little bit better and shown to you in the most simplistic manner. So firstly, how many people are currently using Arthur at the moment? Just a show of hands. Okay, amazing. And how many people are completely new to Arthur and haven't signed up to a free trial, or just looking because they're interested in the Xero integration or the live bank feed and who want to become a client potentially? Okay, fantastic. And just out of interest, how many people are using either Xero or QuickBooks for the financials at this current moment in time? Amazing. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for that, everyone. So let's get started. So just to let you know, this is our copyright notice. I'll just leave this on the screen for 30 seconds or so, just for you to read through it. We just have to do it. But while you're reading that, we have a feedback form that we're going to send after this webinar. If you would be so kind as to fill that in, so we can just get the best feedback to make these webinars better in the future and to just know what people like to see, then that would be absolutely amazing. So just a quick ask from me. Okay, wonderful. So the agenda, what we're going to do today, we're going to do a brief introduction. We're then going to talk about integration benefits. We're then going to talk a little bit about the reconciliation, and then we're going to have a Q&A before jumping into the live system. Now, I might actually switch this around a bit. So we'll do the introduction, integrations. We'll then jump into the live system, talk a little bit about the automation of the finances, and then I'll pass you over to Nicole, who can talk you through what she wants to say in regards to Xero, QuickBooks, and the Arthur live bank feed. So in terms of an introduction, what is accounting software? So accounting software is a program that assists bookkeepers in doing the firm's financial transactions and VAT returns through HMRC. So that's what Xero and QuickBooks is used for. Now, for those of you who don't know, we recently released what's called the Arthur Live Bank Feed. Now, what that essentially means is that it was developed by us, and it's a client account reconciliation tool. That means that rather than you having to use, if you don't already have Xero or QuickBooks, rather than you having to use that, you can connect your client account directly to Arthur, and you can reconcile your transactions directly within it. Now, again, Nicole's going to show you this in a bit more detail, but the difference between our Arthur Live Bank feed and accounting packages like Xero and QuickBooks is that although you can do profit and loss, trial balances, etc., it does not handle the VAT returns, year-end returns, salaries, things like that. That's done through HMRC or payroll. Okay. So in terms of the benefits of integrating with an accounting software, and just a show of hands, how many people are using Arthur but haven't got any accounting software whatsoever? So they're not using any accounting system with Arthur. Okay, fine. So the three benefits of integrating with the software is one, to save time on admin tasks. Everyone has a busy day. If you have 10 properties, if you have 100 properties, if you have 1,000 properties, the admin is still going to be huge if you're having to do it once on an accounting platform and then once in Arthur. So what you want to do is that by integrating the two together, it means that there is a single reconciliation process rather than you having to do reconciliation on two separate platforms. We find that a lot of people who come to us are either using a legacy system that doesn't have the capabilities to integrate with Xero, or they're using spreadsheets, which means that obviously they are having to do double entry. The second reason is it eliminates chances for error. If you are doing things on two separate spreadsheets, or you're doing something in one system and then transferring it over to another, if the systems aren't talking to each other, it's really a case of how good are your eyes, how tired are you getting when you're doing this manual data entry, and it can get, a little bit strenuous. And so by integrating Xero and Arthur, or the live bank feed and Arthur, it means that there's less chances for error, because everything that's synchronized is coming from one system to the other and vice versa, and there's no double entry. And that brings me on to the third point, that it does eliminate double data entry by using accounting software with something like Arthur. So this is a really interesting slide. We took an average of our clients in terms of comparison data and had a look at how many people are integrated on our system versus not integrated. Now, we found out that 64% of our client base is using a financial package such as Xero, and 35.99% are not using any sort of financial package, which might be a couple of you here today. And what we did is we compared the data about the average amount of outstanding transactions. Now, please note that the difference between integrated and non-integrated is there's twice as many people integrated as non-integrated. So we found that even with that stat, the differences between outstanding transactions from people who were integrated was that they had 35 outstanding transactions on average, and the people who weren't integrated had 59 outstanding transactions. But you've essentially got to double that, because we've got double the amount of people using Xero or QuickBooks or the live bank feed as aren't. Okay. So that's another really important benefit, that the outstanding transactions across the board do get reduced significantly by using a financial software with Arthur. So what we'll do in a little bit is that we'll talk about the reconciliation scenarios with Xero, with the live bank feed, and with QuickBooks. That's something that Nicole is going to take you through. But initially, I wanted to ask, does anyone have any questions that they initially want to go through, or is everyone happy to move on to the live demonstration? Just by, either message in the chat or show of hands, how many people want to move on to the live demo? Okay, wonderful. And if you have any questions, feel free to just put them in the chat or put them into the Q&A section of the system. So can everyone see my screen again? Just a show of hands. Yep, amazing. Okay, so how many of you in the call today are using automation around having a financial system link? So, sending out automatic late rent reminders or doing automatic syncs via Xero and QuickBooks? Just a show of hands. Does anyone, a lot of people doing that? Okay, so not so many people that I would have expected. Would you like to go through how that works in terms of late rent reminders, just by a show of hands as well? Okay, fantastic. So this is the dashboard. Now, a lot of people will know how everything works in here. This is just where you go to see, your tenant invoices, what's due on a specific day, what's being received. And everyone will know about, the intricacies of what all of these tabs do in the most part. The thing that people don't normally tend to look at is up here in the top left-hand corner, my name, Max Gray. You've got the settings here, which says automation. But just before that, if any of you are on the professional or enterprise package of Arthur, I see this quite a lot. Just make sure that when you do look into your account, you go to your name, you go to preferences, and you go to personalize account. Now, a lot of the times I see that people have a company logo in here on the professional package from a white labeling perspective, but they don't have an enhanced report logo or a tenant mobile logo. So when a tenant logs into the tenant app, if they're using one, they will see the Arthur logo rather than your logo. So if you are using the professional enterprise package, please make sure you have a look at that and change it accordingly if you do have your tenants using the app, or if you do want to have your report logo in the system. But moving on to automation. So if I go into automation here, this is the section that how many people know of this section, just by a show of hands? Has anyone been into this section? Okay, fantastic. And how many people have never seen this section before when they've gone into Arthur? Okay, right, actually quite a few people. So this is the place where you can automate your triggers around financials, around certificate reminders, around, tasks and issues that get sent in by a tenant, rents, recurring charges, everything. So if I went to the financials tab, this is where I can say, for example, every time a disbursement charge is added, so every time a contractor adds a charge, I might want an automated event to go to the head of property management to say, can you please check that this charge has been added correctly, so there's no room for human error. That's one of the things that might be an example. If I go into the rents, what you'll see is that as standard in the system, we have 3 late rent reminders. The first one is late rent 7 days. The second one is late rent 14 days. And the third one is late rent 21 days. Now, what this will do as standard is it will email the tenants about their rent being late. So what will happen is that the invoices are generated on Arthur. You, of course, send those invoices over to Xero where they're reconciled. And when the receipts come back to Arthur, which shows you exactly how much a tenant has paid, it will then trigger these late rent reminders. So if a tenant is showing that they've paid, £250 out of their £300 rent, and there's £50 left outstanding, if that hasn't been paid for 7 days, it will then send a reminder which looks like this. So if I just go to edit, so you'll see here, it will say to the tenants that haven't paid, your rent is now over 7 days late. So dear, the first name of the tenant, RE rent arrears. So this is something that's been just automatically written into the system by the Arthur team. You can go into your automation and change these or add different late rent reminders based on how many days you want to do it by. But yeah, so this is the one that will send 7 days late. You also then have 14 days and you have late rent 21 days. Now, is anyone interested in learning how to customize these to do like 3 days or 10 days or something? And do you want me to show you how to do that now? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So like I said, if you've got my email, max.gray, GRAY at arthur.online.co.uk, then you can email me after this. And I'm happy to show anyone through this in a bit more detail. But in its highest level, what you'll do is that you'll go over here to the top right-hand corner where it says add custom trigger. And then what you'll do is that you will go to the financial custom trigger. And what you will then do is you will call it a timed method. And this is because we want to time it so that if an invoice is, 3 days overdue or 5 days overdue, it will then send them an automatic reminder. And we do have a question. Where is that auto-populated email for late rents? Okay, so we'll just go through that again. So just to clarify with everyone, you go to your top left-hand corner where your name is. You go into automation here in settings. You would then be taken to this screen. You scroll down to rents where it says rents and just click the plus button here. And then you've got these actions. So what you would do is if I want to find the automated reminder, I would click on the plus button here. And then it says here, email tenants in brackets, send message. Now, all I have to do here is click edit. And then it brings me up the message that has been sent. I hope that answers your question. I'm going to mark it as answered. If we currently have repeating invoices set up on Xero, do we need to delete these so it does not count them twice once Arthur goes live? So Nicole, if you can see that question, I'm going to leave that down to you.
Do you want me to answer it now? That is correct. Sure. Because what we want is all the invoices to be raised through Alpha. Once you're integrated, you want to stop any repeating bills, any repeating invoices that you have from your accounting side, and you want to let the system, Alpha system, generate all your charges, all your tenant invoices, all your contractor bills and property owners. I hope that answers the question.
Perfect. Oh, yeah. Thank you. And and it's great that we're getting these questions because you want to have this interaction between you guys. We've got an hour today, so please do make sure, and no questions too silly. We want to make sure we can answer any question that you guys have. Okay, so that's where you find the automated event. Now, as I was saying, if you want to create your own one, you go to add custom trigger. And this is where you can add automations around anything. So certificates or the tenancy or the viewings or the utilities, but that's going to be, saved for our next webinar, or for you guys to email me and just let me know what you want to be able to do. And we can just jump on a call. But what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to go to financial custom trigger and you would then click timed. And we're going to click time because we want it to be a triggered event if something hasn't been paid for a certain amount of days. So what you'll have is you'll have the example value. So you see here how it says plus 5 days means in 5 days, and minus 2 days means 2 days ago. So what I could do is I'll just name my trigger and I might just put 3 days late rent reminder. And then we've got the conditions. So the conditions, we've got, loads and loads of them here. But the main one you're going to want to use is the due date. So The due date is, in fact, no. So it's going to be paid is overdue. And the due date is, so we've got this in 5 days, 2 days ago, so minus 3 days, okay? So what that would basically mean is that any invoices that are overdue by 3 days, it would then send me an automated late rent reminder about that. So what I could then do is I can go ahead and save my trigger. And then it takes me through to the action. So this is now the action that I am sending off to my tenants. So late rent message to tenants. Make sure to tick both these boxes. And then what you can do is you can apply a process. Now, send message means send email. And then what you would do is you would send to tenants. And in the subject, you could put anything. So you have an outstanding rent of, and then if you right click, it brings up the variables. So you can see here, we've got outstanding, and that would then bring up the level of outstanding rent. The next part is pretty self-explanatory. You can just put, hi, right click to first name, which will pull in their name, and then just start writing the message that you want to send when there was a payment that hadn't been paid for 3 days. Show of hands, does everyone understand that now? Yeah, wonderful. And if there's anything else you want me to go through in the automation, more than happy to discuss that. The next thing is to do with the financial integrations. Here we go. So how many of you have automated syncs that are done on like a daily basis or a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, just by a show of hands? Okay, cool. So in the automation backend of the system, what you can do is that you can actually add an action around the sync starting and the sync being done or failed or successful. We have a question. Landlord who have an outstanding balance to pay and there is no rent coming in, how do you send statements for them to pay? Right, Nicole, I'm going to actually let you answer both these questions if you want, about what's an automated sync and the other one if you want to.
Okay, perfect. So I'll probably start with an automated sync. So the sync between Alpha, Xero, or QuickBooks is not automatic. So in the case I reconcile something, it doesn't just automatically tell Alpha that the rent has been paid. You have to run a sync. So Max, if you just want to go to the financials page and show them, or you don't have an integration one, I'll run through this on my one and show you where you can schedule your syncs. But ideally, setting a scheduled sync is telling the system, okay, these days at this certain time, I want a sync to run automatically without me having to press the button. So most people will set it Monday to Sunday, and they will say 6 in the morning just before they start work. So what happens is any invoices that were generated for that day, normally the system generates them around 5 in the morning. If you have a sync running at 6 a.m. automatically, once you start your working day, all those invoices generated on that day will be in Xero waiting for you to reconcile them. Whereas if you don't have that scheduled sync running, you would have to automatically go to the financials page, Xero or QuickBooks page, and then run a sync via the button to send to Xero or QuickBooks all the invoices generated on that day. And then vice versa, some people, rather than running manual syncs, will wait for the invoices to come in, reconcile everything for that day, and then let the next day sync tell Alpha all of these invoices have been paid. And then I hope that answers that question. And then for the landlords who have an outstanding balance to pay and there is no rent coming in, how do you send statements for them to pay? So in Alpha, unfortunately, you can't reconcile just charges alone to the landlords. The way the remittance works is charges are a bill credit note in Xero, and the tenancy receipts are bills. So the remittance, what it does, it groups them together. So it deducts the bill credit notes from the bills, and that is the remittance and the statement that you can send. There is a way to do it where you can, when you receive direct payment from the landlords, what you would do is you would raise in Alpha a bill to the property owner. You would then reconcile it with the money that's come in, and then you would have the matching charges, so your management fees or whatever direct charge you're charging the landlord, and you would create then a remittance of Xero, and you would be able to send that. We do have a knowledge article on that. So if you want to just drop me an email with your question, and I can probably run it through in a bit more depth and show you the knowledge article, how to handle that situation. It'll be a bit better. Or if alternatively, you can come on the live chat and someone will also be able to walk you through the steps.
Perfect. Thanks, Nicole. So what I'll do is I'll just run you guys through this last bit of automation where you can basically say if a sync's failed or if a sync has been successful, that someone just gets a automated message about that. So the member of the financial team, just so you know that it has been successful on that particular day. But that's another thing that's involved in the automation. So in terms of the rest of the financials, I know that you've all been waiting to see the actual Xero, QuickBooks and Live Bank feed side of things. So without any further ado, I will stop sharing my screen. I will mute myself and I will pass you over to Nicole.
Okay, so the way I'm going to probably do it is I'll show Xero first, and I'm going to run through the 3 most common scenarios. So I'll show you how to do a normal reconciliation of rent, a part payment of rent, and then I'll do an overpayment of rent as well. Then I'll move on into the Live Bank feed, and then lastly, I will go and do QuickBooks. So I'll start sharing my screen. Can I just have a raise of hands if you can see my screen? Okay, amazing. Am I showing? Max, just let me know because the ring is not showing around my screen. Are you seeing my Xero QuickBooks?
We are, yeah.
Sorry,
okay, your perfect. Lifetime offer account, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm on my offer account that is connected to Xero. So I'm just going to go through one of my tenancies with the 3 scenarios. So if I go and find my tenancy, I'll be doing the reconciliation for Alan Chase. So when I created this tenancy, as I answered one of the questions, if you are integrating and you have an existing Xero QuickBooks account, you want to turn off all the recurring charges from the accounting system, and you want to let Arthur generate all your charges. So in this case, when I created my tenancy, I put a recurring charge for my rent. So my rent has been running since the 4th of December. Every month, an invoice is raised for my direct rent, which then through my scheduled sync or my manual sync, it feeds into Xero and lets Xero know these are outstanding rents for this tenant. So if I go on my statement, in this case, I have December, January, and February waiting to be reconciled. And then I will also run, just quickly show you how to reconcile on a spent item as well. So in this case, I just created a disbursement charge for my contractor for a sync repair. So if I go back to my rent, so again, this has already fed into Xero for me. I let my overnight sync just run and it's told Xero, this tenant is owing these 3 outstanding charges. So I will now go into my Xero account and I can also show you how it looks on the contacts. Also, if you ever want to find individual statements within Xero for your contacts, you just come contact, I'll type the tenancy number or the tenant's name. So in this case, Alan Chase. And then I can see that my outstanding amounts match. And then apart from this overpayment that I had previously, so it's telling me, okay, there's 3 invoices that are waiting to be paid. So I will then go back to my dashboard. I will go into the bank account where I will start my reconciliation. So in this case, it's my Aston Chase client account. And then on our left-hand side, in gray is the bank statement line. So this will either be imported or you have a live bank feed within Xero. And then on your right-hand side will be the invoices. When it's green, is normally a smart match by the Arthur invoices. So it suggests, oh, is this payment for this contractor or is this tenant payment for this tenant rent? So if I just go and find my relevant bank feed, I think it's towards the end. So if I just go previous page, and then what I'll do is the first rent I'll reconcile will be December, because I can see that's my first rent outstanding, 4th of December. And I can see here, 3rd of December, I received £500 and I have a little description that's Alan's rent. So Arthur has said, okay, looked at the amount, looked at the dates and said, is this payment for Alan Chase for this rent? So if I'm happy, I say, yes, this is for December payment. I can double check the reference is the transaction number in Xero and Alpha will be the same. So I can see is TR8498. And then if I go here, it's TR8498. So all I'll have to do to reconcile is press OK. I'll say confirm. It just tells me this as they have different day. I received it on the 3rd and my invoice is on the 4th. I'm happy, I press confirm, and that has been reconciled. Again, this won't tell Alpha, oh, it's been paid. I will have to run either a manual sync or let the scheduled sync run to then feed back into Alpha and say this invoice has been paid and a receipt will come through. So that is the first scenario where you just receive the full amount of rent. Now, if I go and want to, for example, do a part payment for January, Alan has underpaid me £100. Within Xero, obviously, because the amounts don't exactly match, is doing a smart match with a different invoice. So that has £400. I know this is incorrect. So all I do is go and click find a match. Then I can search by the amount, by the transaction reference number, or by my tenant's name. So in this case, I will go and do Alan Chase. And then I know this is for my January rent. So I'll just select it. And because he has underpaid, I will just do split. It will tell me there's a remaining amount of £100. I'm happy with that. I select split and just reconcile, confirm. Once again, once I run my sync, this will then tell Alpha, okay, the rent for January has been paid £400. There is £100 outstanding. And I will run a sync within the tenancy to show you guys how it actually looks once the receipts feed back into Alpha. Now, if I go and find my last rent, for example, here, the 3rd of February rent, my tenant has overpaid me for £100. I will now show you how to deal with an overpayment. So again, it will not pull up the exact rent charge because it's off, the amount is slightly off. So all I have to do is find a match. Again, I will go and find my tenant. I know it is for February. So I'll just select that. And in this case, he's overpaid me £600. So I want to account for this overpayment. I will go and add new transaction. It will be receive money. I will receive it as an overpayment. On the from option, you want to select the tenancy. So if I type his full name, I can see the tenancy here matches with Alpha, which is TE1233. This means that the overpayment will show on the rent statement. You can also allocate it to the deposit statement if that's where you want to show the overpayment from. But in this case, I will just leave it on my rate statement. And then it is for £100 overpayment. All I do is save transaction. I can now reconcile because it matches. So I know that my 4th of February rent has been fully paid and there is an overpayment sitting for my tenant. This will come back into Alpha as a tenancy receipt and it will be credit on the account. You can then go and either allocate this credit towards any future charges, or you can do a cash refund. So all I do is reconcile, confirm, and that is done. And then if I have a spent item, which was my contractor bill that I've raised on Alpha, I will just show you that, how I would reconcile it, how it looks. It's pretty much the same thing. I think it might be on the previous page. I think it was, just find it here. 4th of February, contractor. Now, I know this contractor is not Bev contractor. I think I raised it for Bob Repair. So it's pretty much just like the rent. I will just go find a match, but it's as a spent item. And if I go and do Bob Repair, I can see a 4th of February bill that I raised that I paid. I think it was for a mirror repair. All I do is click and press OK. And that has also been reconciled. Now, normally on your normal day-to-day basis, you will go through all your rents, reconcile all the rents that you have received, and then at the end of the day, you can run a sync on the system. Just for the purposes of being a little bit quicker so I can show you more things in time frame that we have, I'm going to run a sync within the tenancy so that my receipts for the reconciled items can come back into Alpha and I can show you how it looks. So I will leave this running and I will go into the Alpha Live Bank feed now. and show you those examples while this runs in the background. So I am now on my Alpha account that is linked to my live bank feed. Now, the good thing about the live bank feed is I don't have to run syncs. It's automatically done. So when I reconcile something, it already tells my tenancy this has been paid without me having to manually go to the financials page, go to the Xero page and press synchronize with Xero. So again, I will go and find my tenancy where I'll be showing you. So if I go to Paris, London, again, upon creating my tenancy, I created a recurring charge, which has been generating since the 1st of December for my £500 rent. And if I go to my statements, I know I have December, January, and February rent awaiting a payment. I'll run through the same scenarios. So if I go back to my Alpha, I go into financials, I scroll down, go into bank accounts, and I will select start reconciliation on the bank account where I received these items. So in this case, is my NatWest client account. I'll press start reconciliation. And again, on your left-hand side, you have your bank statement lines. This will either be a live bank feed or an imported bank statement that you did. And then on your right-hand side will be the matches with your Alpha transactions within that you have raised within Alpha. So if I scroll down and I'll find my Paris rent, for example, just like in Xero and QuickBooks, it tries to do a smart match and it goes highlighted in green saying, hey, this rent received on the 1st of December for £500. Does it match with, is it the payment for Paris or James Smith in this case for £500? In this case, it's not that one. I want to pay the rent for the 1st of December for Paris. So all I would do is not a match, click here, search transaction, and then on my search bar, I can again type either the transaction reference number or the name. So if I put Paris, I know this was my December rent. So all I do is select the box, click select, match. And then if I go back to my tenancy, I'll just do a refresh. It will show me my December rent has been paid. Nothing is any longer outstanding. Go back to my reconciliation page, and then I will go and find my other rents. So for example, I have another rent here where it has been an overpayment of my rent. So to handle all the payments with a live bank feed, all I do is search for my transaction. And then this is for February. So search for my transaction. I'll write Paris. And then all I will go and do is select my February rent. I want to input the correct amount that they paid, which was £500. It matches it off. Select, and then it doesn't quite match. I'm £100 off. So all I will do is search and add more. I will do add transaction. I will select related to is my tenant. So if I type in her name, Paris, London, it will come up. The transaction type that we want to select is a tenancy receipt. The description, you can put it as whatever you wish. In this case, it'll be overpayment. Make sure it's paid to by the tenant. The tenant is Paris, London. You can then select the date. In this case, I will put it as the 1st of February, and they have overpaid me for £100. I simply add a transaction, and now I can see everything matches. No longer anything is outstanding. If I press send and press match, this has been reconciled. Again, I'll just refresh my tenancy. And I can see my February rent has been fully paid. And now I have a tenancy receipt sitting as credit on my tenant rent statement, which can then be refunded or allocated towards a future charge, future rent, or any sundry charges that you're charging your tenant. And then I'll go and show you an underpayment. So if I go and find my rent, so rent for Paris, it has been £400. Again, this is not Paris, so I will just go click here, search for my transaction. Again, I'll just put Paris. I know it's for January, but she has not paid £500. She has part paid her January rent. So all I do is input the amount that she has actually paid as come into my bank account. I press select and match. And then this will now tell me that there is £100 outstanding for her January rent. So if I look here, I have a tenancy receipt of £400 and £100 is still outstanding. So that's what's really nice about the live bank feed, is that I don't have to do any things. It just automatically does it for me and tells me, and I can see instantly in my tenancy. So, and then I'll just show you the spend item again, just like reconciling rent. So if I go and find my spend item and I can check who I paid, it was my contractor statement. I have £200 for fixing a window. So if I just find a £200 spend item, here we go, spend item £200. I can go search for my transaction, and it was for window fix, and the contractor name is Window Fixes. Here we go. This is my bill for my window fix. All I do is select the box, press select and match. And then if I just refresh, go back to my contractor statement, I know that this bill has now been paid. And now I'll just go back into my Xero so I can show you how it looks. It's pretty much the same thing. So I can see my rent for 4th of December has been fully paid. I have my tenancy receipt, no longer outstanding. Then we have the underpayment scenario, which was January. I had my tenancy receipt of £400 and there is £100 remaining. And then if I look up my 4th of February, £500, I receive the £500, but I have £100 tenant credit sitting on the account, which then I can refund or allocate towards future rents. And then if I go on my contractor statement, I think I didn't reconcile that one. It would have come the same thing, just like the live bank feed. It will show us paid £120. Do we have any questions so far? Let me just have a check. Is everything making sense? We can have a show of hands.
We do have a couple of questions, Nicole.
So let me just go. How do we run a manual sync? So I will show you that. I'll start sharing my screen again. This is just like you are reconcilable within Alpha and Xero. Why not syncing with Xero? What have I missed? Mary, do you want to just say that again? This looks like you're reconciling both with Alpha and Xero. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I showed 2 examples. So I showed how to reconcile with Xero. And then as I let the sync run, I went and showed how to run a sync, how to reconcile on the Alpha live bank feed. So if I just go, does all the data. So if you're having the live bank feed, the Alpha live bank feed, you don't want to be also integrated with Xero. We normally say you are either integrated with Xero or you have the Alpha live bank feed. You wouldn't have an instance that you have both of them integrated. So it will be either or. So if you have an overpayment showing for 1 month and there is an underpayment for the previous month, you can go ahead and allocate that credit towards the underpayment, but this is manually. It wouldn't automatically do it. You would have to go within the tenancy and then allocate. So if I just share my screen again and I can show you how to do that. So in the case that I go back to my tenant rent statement, and I have my overpayment, I will just go to my overpayment, allocate to charge, find my rent that has been underpaid, put in the overpayment amount and allocate, and that will clear it out, but it won't be automatically. You have to come within the statement and do it manually. And then how do you run a manual sync? So you go into your financials, go to Xero screen. You have this big button that says synchronize with Xero. And then you would just press the button synchronize and this will start running the sync. You can go ahead and continue doing things within Alpha. It will just run in the background. And then if you want to check, you either have the notifications on, as Max showed you, to say the sync has been successful, Or if you want to check the progress, you just come back again to financials, go to Xero screen. If I go to synchronize, I can see that it's still running in the background. Is there any more questions? Okay, so Mary said, thanks, I understand. And then I'm just going to go through, give me 1 second. Yes, so if you're running all your client account rent deposits holdings within the bank feed within Alpha, you can export all of these and then just send all the journals into Xero. So you can transfer data from the live bank feed into your actual Xero that you're running separately. And then I think, Max, maybe if you know any of the reports that are currently being used, I know the reports team would probably be able to cater to the statements that you need to the statements that you need to transfer from Alpha into Xero if you run it separately. And then Christina, can you use the live bank? So again, Christina, can you use the live bank feed on the client account, but integrate your contractor bills in trade and business account, which is in Xero. So if that is the question of where you want to have Xero and the live bank feed together, again, we wouldn't recommend that because you wouldn't be able to tell Xero, okay, I only want my contractor bills to go over. It will still feed all the rents into Xero. So either you deal with your contractors separate from Alpha and you deal only on Xero, or you can add multiple bank accounts. So you can have your client account, you can have account for your bill, for your contractor bills, and you can reconcile them in different banks. So just like I go back into my Alpha that is connected to a live bank feed. If I go to financials, bank accounts, I can have multiple bank accounts. So let's say all my rents are received on this bank account. So I will do the reconciliation here. Let's say with this bank account, I do all my contractor payments. Let's say with this bank account, I'll do all my property owner remittances. So I can have separate bank accounts, but I wouldn't be able to have Xero running in the background as well as the Alpha Live bank feed. And then I was thinking one can we get. Yes, so if you're syncing one company, you can jump between switch accounts while the sync is running. It's not a problem. It will continue to run in the background. You can even log out of Alpha and the sync will continue to run. Just as the automatic sync runs in the mornings, you don't necessarily have to be logged into your account for it to run. It will just do it automatically. Can you please show an example of incorrect reconciled item? How do you reverse it? Yeah, sure. So in the case that I've reconciled something wrong, so if I go to my contacts, I'll do it for so I'll do it for Alan Chase. If I go to Alan Chase, and I know that, let's say, this transaction was reconciled incorrectly with the wrong payment, just select the payment, go to options, remove and redo. And this will separate the link. So when you go back to your dashboard to reconcile, your item will be sitting there waiting for reconciliation, and the the rent invoice will show outstanding again. We currently have a client account and a trading account. Yeah, so Christina, you could have both accounts within the Alpha Live bank feed. You could have your client account set up, and you can also have your trading account set up, and then you can reconcile different payments within different accounts. All you have to do is within the tenancy, you can say which bank account the reconciliation is coming from, as well from the payment side. Yes, so Mary Marsh, in regards to you already having a Xero and you will be taking out an Alpha subscription, I think Max, if you want to, you can email Max, which knows a bit more about the sales side, but you can purchase the integration through us. So someone from the financial team will have a meeting with you, will run through your business with you to try to understand how you've been using Xero and how to make the two integrate in the best way possible. We would give you all the instructions of what you need to do from the Alpha side and from a Xero perspective. So this is something the financial team will run through with you and will do the process of the integration. Currently haven't. Okay, so Mike, how would you account for business office costs and expenses in Alpha if you were to drop using Xero and QuickBooks? So we have a create function. So if I go to the Xero bank feed, if you have spent items, for example, you can always use the assign to. Oh, sorry, it's not that one. Let me see if I can remember. Yeah, so you assign to, it can either be an income expense or an asset liabilities. You would have a contact that you have created. You will put the transaction type that it is, and then the description, and then you'll be able to refer back to these either within the context or the cash book screen. And that's how you will deal with costs outside of your tenancies of your properties, something that is not related to offer itself. And then if I go, can we take a look at QuickBooks? Yes, I will go. We can do that now. I can run through the three scenarios for QuickBooks. Alpha, I think the session's advanced stage. For the last question, we are just in the process of setting offer up. I think this session is too advanced for me at this stage. Is there a beginner course? You can always book one-to-one sessions with the financial team or the functionality team to just run through the basics, run just through how to use an offer. If you're still on a free trial, you can always book a demo also with the financials or the functionality teams to just run you through how to use the system, what are the basics, and where to get started. So what I'll do now is I'll stop the questions for now so I can go and show QuickBooks quickly, and then maybe we can continue with some more questions. So if I just go, I can close this up. And then I'll go into QuickBooks. I just have to log in. So if I go to my QuickBooks account, and what I will do is, again, I will go to my tenancy. In this case, let's go to Dyson Donald. And then again, when I created my tenancy, I created my recurring charge. So I have my invoices generating within Alpha. And if I go to my statement, I have 3 outstanding charges, which again, I will go and show the 3 different scenarios. So I will go ahead and go to QuickBooks. Within QuickBooks, you want to go to banking. Select the bank account where you're going to be reconciling from. In this case, it's my client account. And for example, let's start with a normal reconciliation of rent for December, the 1st of December. I know it's £500. It is for Dyson. All I would do, these are the bank statement lines. I will click on my bank statement line. I know it will try to suggest me matches. So I know it's none of these rents. So I would go find other matches. I can type in either transaction number or my tenant. So if I put Dyson and I say it's for this rent, all I do is click the box and press save. And it has been matched. Again, this won't automatically tell after it's been paid off. I will have to run a sync, a manual sync, just like I did with Xero, or I would have to wait for my scheduled sync to run through. So then in the case that I have an underpayment, again, I would just select my bank statement line, find other matches. I'll type Dyson. I'll select the invoice. This is the amount that I received. And all I have to do is click save. And this will tell Arthur once I run a sync, £400 out of the £500 have been paid, and there is £100 outstanding. And then if I go for the overpayment, I just go find a match. Again, I will just search for my tenant. I'll say it's for this invoice. They have overpaid, and I'll put the amount that they have overpaid for and just click save. Again, this will then tell Alpha £500 have been paid, and there'll be a tenancy receipt sitting on the tenant statement saying of showing credit, which can then either be allocated towards any rents, charges, or can be refunded back to the tenant. So in the meantime, I'll just run a sync. And I'm running a sync. Oh. If I run it within the big one, so QuickBooks. And this is how to run a manual sync within QuickBooks. This is how the mapping page for QuickBooks runs. So if I just go, let's synchronize and start syncing. So I'll just wait for this to run in the background and I'll go ahead and look at some more questions. Max, do you know for Mike Anderson's if we have any export functions that he mentioned there?
Oh, that would be something that you'd want to email. I will type an answer to who they should email, and we can go from there. But yeah, the best thing to do to talk to Jaff or Aaron about those kind of exporting functions. Okay.
And sure, I can show how to do the manual sync with QuickBooks again, no problem. So I would come into financials. I will go to my QuickBooks online screen. And then all I would do is I'll have the green button. All I would do is let's synchronize with QuickBooks Online and then start synchronizing. And that will have the sync going in the background. That's how you run the manual sync.
Oh, Nicole, we can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, can you guys see my screen now? Can you see it?
Yep, we can see it now. Yep.
So if I go again, sorry guys. If you go to financials, go to QuickBooks Online screen. And then you will have a big green button as well that says, let's synchronize with QuickBooks Online. All you do is press that button and then press the green button that says start synchronizing. I already have a sync running in the background, so it won't let me press it again. Sam, was that fine? We're just in the process of setting up. No problem. We're just setting up. Okay, I think I have answered most questions. Max, do you want to say anything else?
There's just one more question that came in on the chat, Nicole. The actual chat rather than the Q&A. So if you just want to have a look at that one.
Oh, let me see if I can find. Oh yeah, there we go.
So
located, yes. Oh, I have closed it up. What I'll do, Kaylee, if you just send me an email to nicole.moser@arthur.online.co.uk, I can send you a knowledge base article which goes a step-by-step with a video of how to go and remove a redo from something that you've done incorrectly on the live bank feed, if that's okay. And do we have any more questions? Let me just go back. Max, anything else?